Hello? Okay, sorry. Hello everyone, welcome back to Labyrinth of Touhou 2. This time, I'm going to be going over Keine Kamashirasawa, the half-beast of knowledge and history. So, let's start off again with the base stats. For HP, we have a base stat value of 109, 142. Oh my. Base attack of 72. Base defense of 96, base magic of 112, base mind of 86, base speed of 93, and base evasion of 12. Also, her base MP is 18, her base TP is 17, her base HP recovery is 10, her base MP recovery is 2. At level 1, you'll start with 109 HP, 40 attack, 52 defense, 60 mind, 60 magic, 47 mind, 103 speed, and 12 evasion, like I mentioned. The base status resistances are 30 to paralysis, poison, heavy shock, and then 40 tear, silence, death, and debuff. And then over in her elemental affinities, she has 120 in Fire, Cold, Wind, Nature, Mystic, Spirit, Physical, and 60 in Dark. So, overall, looking just at these base stats, I should mention her level up difficulty is 59, which is about average, and library costs of 45, which is pretty good. Overall, Keine has some really interesting stats. All of his status resistances are really bad, or just fairly bad. However, she does have a great HP pool, good defense, good mind, good speed, good magic, I guess average defense, mind, and speed, and okay magic, but great HP, really good HP. Good MP. I mean, there isn't a lot with good defense, so I'd say her defense is actually quite good. So obviously, as I mentioned, she excels in having good defense, and that is further supported by her great resistances to a lot of stuff. Well, she isn't going to be taking anything like negating any sort of elements. She does take everything fairly well, with the exception of Dark. Now, of course, with the low library cost, you can also use the library to alleviate some of that. Now then, for her active skills. First off, we have Ancient History, Old History. A magic attack that hits all enemies, Dark type, costs 5 MP. It hits with the caster's magic being 164 your magic against the enemy's physical defense, 64% of your enemy's defense. It has a 51.2 delay, and no real special abilities to speak of. New History, Next History, is a spirit spell that does the exact same thing. Same magic, 164, same bit of your opponent's mind, this time mind, not defense, sorry. 64% of your opponent's mind, has the same delay at 51.2, and no special effects. So, both half decent, especially early game. However, 164 is not the greatest, even with a decent magic stat. And 51% delay is actually quite high, even for a AoE attack. Of course, AoE attacks are normally not very great against bosses, as bosses normally don't have multiple enemies out at once, and so you're not getting the full effectiveness of them, because AoE attacks are generally weaker to make up for hitting multiple targets. Next up, we have 3 Treasures Sword, 5 MP again, you'll see there's a common theme. Hits all allies on the front line, is physical, increases attack and magic by 21 plus the skill level times 3. So at level 1, this is a 24% buff. At level 5, this is a 36% buff. Not bad indeed. And though overall not the most impressive. It has a 60% delay, which is not the worst, but not the best. And then you have Mia, 3 charges Mia. The exact same thing as Sword, and all attributes, 5 MP, it's all eyes in front line, physical, buff stats by 21 plus skill level times 3, has 60% delay, but this one, instead of hitting attack and magic, hits defense and mind. Now then, for her passive bonuses, you have MP boost and TP boost, both of which are kind of mess, and she has a lot of MP to start with, and TP doesn't really matter within fights. Her base magic increase, which is not that great, since you'll notice that her attacking moves are rather lackluster. Motivate hard, enhance our experience, which do exactly as they say. You can see another one of my first 2 guides, Marissa and Reimu, if you want to know if you want to hear me talk about them. Then next up with Moku. While Moku's on the front line, attack and magic are increased by either 15 or 13%. 15 or 30%. This is rather underwhelming, especially since it requires Moku, who we'll talk about later, but is not used a lot, and increasing your attack and magic, again, is not very synergistic with her attacking spells, which are generally underwhelming. Organized formation. So performs a 4 change while the user is on the front line, the character that performs the switch while the characters switch out, and the character that is switched out and the character switched in will all receive 1 MP. So that is 3 MP recovered. 1 for the character that performed the switch. So say you switch out. No, so say you have your so say Keine switches out Ryzen for Aya. Keine will receive 1 MP, Ryzen will receive 1 MP, Aya will receive 1 MP. So overall, actually fairly good. Okay, so the next one, firm defense. When your attack damage by an enemy, defense mind up increased by skill level times 5, so that's 5 or 10%. Not bad. Boost up her already decent defense in mind, which allows her to perform a more supportive role, especially with her great buffing spells. When Keine, upon the user's turn, all members have their mind increased by skill level times 6. So this can be either 6 or 12% mind buff. Again, not bad. All party members receive 6% more EXP. It's only active with the 12 members of the party. So, of all the supportive outside of battle skills, this is by far the best, since EXP is greatly appreciated. So, as for how to actually use Keine in battle, I'd recommend using her as a tank. As I mentioned, these spells are kinda underwhelming and only hit in Spirit and Dark, making them fairly subpar when you're going to have better physical and dark magic attackers, or even though this hits against defense. I mean, there's rarely a situation in which these are useful, other than early game in which any sort of damage is good because you don't have any forms of damage. But later on, these become much obsolete fairly quickly. However, the buffing skills are always good. Even though you get good buffers later on, these will always hit exactly what you want. Pretty much Byakuren is the only one who can match this attack and magic buff, since no one else has an AoE attack or magic buff in the game. Well, actually no one else does. Byakuren's still single targets. You can just do it a lot. Even Iku really can hit with a bigger buff, but you can only hit 1 target at a time. So it's a bit more situational, since it requires having 2 attackers to be better than other buffers, but again, it's still good for that. And whereas her defense and mind buff may not be, I mean, one can argue whether or not it's better than Reimu's, it is still at least used as much or more than Reimu in a lot of cases. You'll have to look at their differences, whatever they may be. I actually kind of forgot what Reimu's does, and see which one you like to use more in your situation. I believe they have different delays and different amounts. So you'll have to see. Of course, Keine, with her great HP stat, might be slightly more tanky than Reimu. I forgot what Reimu's stats were as well. But I do a lot of times favor Keine as a buffer because of this. Just the flexibility of having both attack and magic as well as defense in mind. Not to mention, Reimu's missing this. This really makes her a great supporter. With the mind increase means that you can get up big mind buffs, because that's 12 plus a max level Mir is 36. That's a 48% mind buff. So you're taking about half damage from magic attacks. Well, okay, no. Yeah, kinda. It's almost doubling. No, it's not doubling. It's giving you like a 50% buff to your mind. Doubling would be 100%. Forgive me for that mistake. Okay, yeah. So, I guess, yeah, again, I guess, just mention that she has high HP, so you want to buff that with your, stats, with the, like, magic stuff, magic library stuff, and items. And overall, just make her, she just works well with being defensive and giving buffs out. That's why we're going to go to her magic library. Let's check out what subclasses. For Guardian, she is probably your best tank. I'd say she's a better tank than Rinosuke and a better tank than Reimu early game. So Guardian might not be that bad, but by the time you even unlock subclasses, you're probably going to find someone better. Kamachi. Kamachi. Monk is more offensive, and more of a physical sort of offensive, and we already know that her attack is her least good thing, and she has no physical attacks naturally, so that means you're going to have to invest more into her. And while her skill level costs aren't too high, that's still, especially early game, something you don't want to have to invest into. Same for Warrior. Sorcerer, she's actually not that bad at Sorcerer early game, but as I mentioned, her magic spells fall off as you get better magicians. Healer, no healing spells, so not that great. We'll skip over the good ones. Debuffer, no debuffs. Toxologist, no status ailments. Magician, she has great magic and actually works fairly well with this. But she can do other things better, and there's also one other, well, maybe two other characters that can do Magician better than her. That you get fairly early on, at least one of them you get fairly early on, so... while this is an option, it is an interesting option, as she has only the 5 costs on each of her abilities. She's not going to be running out too much, so she won't want it for herself, and she already has enough jobs to do with buffing anyone else that transferring MP is an extra job that she doesn't really want to do. Which is why I don't recommend an Herbalist either, because she again has a lot of jobs with her buffs. Adding another buff on that she needs to do is too many things that she needs to do and not enough turns to get it done. Strategist. Well, okay, Gamble is terrible. Well, not terrible. You could use this to make a somewhat viable magic dealer, but same rant as all the other ones. About offensive stuff. She's bad offensive, but she's subpar offensive. Not as good as other characters. Diva! Hey, you want more EXP? On top of her already best EXP, ability? Yeah, this is great on her. Transcendent! Yeah, I mean, gives a little bit extra defensive stats, but not enough that you wouldn't want to just rather run a Guardian. Alright, then let's talk about the really good ones. First up, Strategist. Yeah, if you build her tanky, she can stay up, and the Strategist, of course, gives these passive damage dealt and damage decrease, as well as increases buff decay rate, or decreases buff decay rate. So, allowing your buffs to stay out longer. So great for Strategist. Much better than Reimu, since she's lacking the heal when you die thing. And so you can actually get a lot of use about her just staying out there. Of course, what she's best at is, of course, well, what else? For a buffing character, you want Enchanter, where you get really good buff effects up, allowing you to increase that mind ability even more. So it doesn't work too well for your passive one, but the passive one just adds a little bit extra to what you're already going to be giving them, allowing you to increase both your offensive and defensive stats a lot. And of course, this gives you the ability to actually heal as well. So overall, just fairly good for her. Nothing too bad. Overall, I said I give Reimu an S. I'm not sure, but I think I gave Marissa a C, and then I gave Rinosuke an F. For Keine, I'm going to give an A. Now, I thought about this for a long time, and so I'm going to say why. I'm going to start saying why I give them the things they do, other than just, oh, this character's good, this character's bad, this character has these options. I'm going to compare them to other characters. So, Rinosuke, it's not hard to see why. You give better buffs than him, by a long shot. Just being an enchanter gives you a better heal than him. Wow, it's an AoE heal as well. You have better stats than him. You have the ability to go offensive if need be. Early game. Overall, there's nothing that Rinosuke does that compares to Keine. You're even better outside of battle, or like outside of boss battles, because your EXP thing is better than his money and items. Then next to Marissa, you don't deal as much damage, but early game you deal actually almost comparable amount of damage. It's only late game when Marissa really passes you up. But Marissa only really has one use, as she too gets outscaled by late game mages, and she's forced to stick with as a master spark cannon, which is rarely useful due to a lot of mystic resist, whereas Keine can fall back upon her buffing, which will always be good, making her much better. But why is she not good as Reimu? I mean, she does the exact same job, but she's slightly tankier, and she has also the ability to go offensive with the buffs. Well, simply put, I just find that Reimu's buff just works better along with her passive, especially this reduced spirit damage is such a great one. And, I don't know, it's a bit odd. Looking at it statistically, I'd say they're about the same, if not, Keine is a bit better. But just through experience and using Reimu more, I feel that I'm more inclined to always pick Reimu in a toss-up. Especially later game. Later game, you're gonna get a lot of, like, really good, really good offensive buffers. And you're gonna find that Kaine's utility is just more or less limiting her rather than helping her, as she's going to be trying to fill in multiple roles rather than just one, and it's better to fill in one role really good than try and fill in multiple roles okay. I don't know, that may sound weird, but that's just my opinion on it. You don't have to believe me. You can say that she's S, you can say that she's A, you can say that all four of the characters I listed are the worst characters in the game, you can say Rinosuke is the best character in the game. It's all your opinion. You can make a team of Cherno, Rinosuke, Kogasa, and Shin and just beat the entire game with it, and good for you. But this is my opinion, and that's why I have Keine listed as A tier. Anyways, sorry, I went on a little long there. Next time, we'll be going over Momiji Unibashiri. Until then, see ya.